A story is told of a desert traveler who was beset by a sudden sandstorm. He quickly set up his tent to protect himself from the storm. His camel called piteously from outside the tent, begging him to just let him stick his sensitive nose into the tent to protect it. The traveler agreed, and continued to make concessions to the camel until he found himself outside the tent while the camel was protected inside. This same pattern is seen in copyright legislation. Research shows that copyright encourages harmful rent-seeking behaviors in established content owners and publishers. When individuals or organizations use the government or political process to gain financial or personal advantage, this behavior is called rent-seeking by economists. The pattern of rent-seeking behaviors is prevalent in the history of copyright legislation. Copyright laws, by granting a monopoly to rights holders, encourage these rent-seeking behaviors. Copyright owners have sought and gained concessions in several areas. The pattern of rent-seeking is circular. When a concession is won, more concessions are sought. The principal areas they have successfully engaged in rent-seeking are in the length of the copyrighted period and in establishing criminal liability for copyright infringement. Copyright was originally established as a period of 14 years with the availability of an additional 14-year extension. Over the years, it has been extended several times. The latest was in 1998 and extended it to an astonishing 95 years for company-owned works, or the life of the author plus 70 years for works owned by the author or his estate. The inclusion of the life of the author to determine copyright length was established in 1978 and makes the determination of the length of copyright uncertain during the life of the author. For example, Christopher Paolini first published his novel Aragon in 2002. If he lives to the average life expectancy of 76, then Aragon will be under copyright for a period of 127 years. Furthermore, these extensions, for the most part, have been made retroactively. The latest extension was the Sonny Bono Copyright Term Extension Act. This act is a prime example of successful rent-seeking by corporations. Specifically, the copyrights of several Disney characters were due to expire soon, including Mickey Mouse. Disney and several other corporations lobbied Congress heavily to extend the copyright, collectively giving over $31 million to political campaigns that year. That act created a 20-year retroactive extension on all copyrighted materials. When this act passed, it created a hole, a virtual drought for the state of the public domain. Now, incredibly, for the period of 20 years, no works will enter the public domain. This is true of almost all works, regardless of their financial viability and whether or not there has been any attempt to register the copyright. The other area of copyright law that has seen substantial increase in protection for copyright holders is in the area of criminal copyright infringement. Unlike traditional infringement, which is considered a civil infraction and is handled in civil court, criminal copyright infringement is investigated by law enforcement personnel and is prosecuted in federal court with criminal liability. It may be surprising, but the act of criminal copyright infringement was non-existent until the early 1900s. Then, for a long time, it was only concerned with organizations trying to print and resell works on a large scale without the permission of the rights holders. A series of laws enacted within the last 20 years, including the No Electronic Theft, or NET, Act, and the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, or DMCA, have extended the potential legal liability to easily apply to individuals. The NET Act provides for criminal prosecution of individuals who have engaged in infringement even when there are no commercial or monetary rewards. The DMCA enacted penalties which have been used extensively to threaten individuals, including researchers, with criminal sanctions. These individuals are not necessarily engaged in infringement, but are bypassing protections designed to prevent the digital works from being copied. For example, Edward Felton, a professor from Princeton University, was researching the encryption placed on certain digital audio files that tracked who had first purchased them. Together with his team of students, he was able to successfully remove the encryption. However, he was prevented from presenting his findings when he was when he received legal threats from the company who created the encryption. Research shows that copyright encourages harmful rent-seeking behaviors in established content owners and publishers. The multiple extensions of copyright terms and the enaction of criminal penalties for infringement have been created by lawmakers in response to heavy lobbying from organizations which have strong interests in protecting or expanding their copyright protections. If these laws are examined, there is little or no indication that the needs of the public or the importance of encouraging a vibrant and creative culture have been considered. Like the desert traveler, our developing culture and the needs of the public have been forced out into the storm by the greedy camel. Any questions?
What is the public domain?
The public domain includes all materials that are not governed by copyright laws and hence don't have any restrictions on their reuse. They can be republished, borrowed from, or recreated without fear of legal repercussions. To put it another way, the public domain is a lawyer-free zone.
Do copyright laws just cover books and music?
Copyright covers all creative expression that has been put into a fixed medium. These include books, songs, movies, paintings, photos, software, maps, and more. Thank you.